Hello, cyber friends. Thanks for coming to DevSec. Today we're going to be learning about Solaris. Now, if you've ever used Solaris, this revelation should spark fear in your heart. The truth is, a lot of people actually hate Solaris, more specifically Solaris 10, because it's just so old and crusty. And it has a lot of inconvenient differences than your like everyday Linux system. So, as a result, most people are relatively unprepared when they see Solaris in the competition. So the point of today's lesson is to kind of give you some exposure to it so that you're less like shocked when you first encounter it in the field. But my warning for today is to avoid having to use Solaris altogether if you can. It's kind of like getting an XP box in a competition. It's not usually the assignment you want, but hopefully with today's stuff you'll learn what it takes to kind of be able to use it. Without further ado, I'll kind of get into what Solaris is. So I like to think Solaris is kind of stealthily effective for competitions too, because a lot of red teamers dislike using Solaris just as much as us blue teamers do. So I guess you can take comfort in the fact that red team doesn't want to be in Solaris land either, if that gives you any kind of solace. So I promise this whole presentation won't be me flaming Solaris, but it might be. So Solaris used to be an open source operating system. The first big one being Solaris 10, which I mentioned. This is the version we'll be kind of be working with in kind of the little lab today. It was released in 2005. Solaris 11 was released in like 2010 after Oracle acquired Solaris. Just before Oracle, I believe they were working on like another free version of Solaris called Open Solaris. And then the desktop environment is built with Java, which makes it kind of look ugly. So why would anyone in their right minds use Solaris? Great question. Since it's now developed by Oracle, it plays nice with their products like MySQL, allegedly. It also appears in competitions like CCDC, like I said, from time to time, because they love to give you absurd boxes that are ancient. So let's start to get into kind of some of the differences you'll see. Probably one of the most annoying things is the shell. It uses Bourne shell by default, so things like tab completion, Control L to clear the screen, even the backspace button won't work in a terminal, which can be semi-infuriating. I'm gonna pop into, see if it'll let me log in real quick. Can kind of show it off how bad it is. Yeah, so if I start typing stuff, I try to do backspaces. Let me zoom in a little bit too. Okay, no zooming, I guess. Anyways, yeah, but if I try to do backspace, it does this H thing. If I try to Control L to clear the screen, just nothing works. So the first thing I would recommend doing, see, I'm getting caught here. The first thing I would recommend doing as soon as you get into your Solaris box is just type bash, if you can spell it right, and then things work again. So that's kind of neat. Back to the presentation. So some other differences, there's no CH password utility like in most Linux systems. So your password changing scripts literally have to create hashes and write to etc from scratch, which is something you don't really have to do like in any other system. So this is kind of jarring. Also, SSH can be kind of weird. The open SSH version on Solaris 10 is kind of old. So if you're trying to SSH into it with a newer box, you have to add this long a series of fields that you'll see at the bottom of the slide there. That makes it work. That's what it takes. So I mentioned password changes, but here's the actual password change script we use in CCDC. Like I said, it's basically going through each user. It creates a hash for each user in the Etsy shadow file. Some advice when running this script, I would recommend either writing the results of the script to a backup file or backing up Etsy Shadow itself. Speaking from experience, it's really easy to completely lock yourself out of your system by mistyping a script or using one that doesn't actually wind up working. In which case you're kind of screwed and have to revert. So personally, my least favorite thing about Solaris is that it doesn't actually have a package manager. So if there's a package or something you want, the only way to get it in Solaris 10 is to install from a live CVD, which how many other systems you have to do that? So this applies for like updates as well. So yeah, that kind of hurts. Fortunately, like a lot of basic services like SSH and Apache 2 are pre-installed. So this isn't like a huge barrier, but it's still kind of annoying nonetheless. So Solaris 11 kind of fixed that by shipping with a package manager called PKG, not to be mistaken with one in BSD systems that I went over a few weeks ago. Little bit of difference here is service management. It's not too bad, but the commands are a little different. Instead of using like systemctl or service, restart, start, disable, stop, you'll use svcs to view the status of a service. So you could do svcs ssh. That'll tell you like it's running or it's stopped. And then we can use svc adm to enable a service or disable. That kind of turns it on or off. So that's not too bad. As for the firewall, Solaris uses IP filter. It's pretty similar to PF, which I covered in the BSD presentation. Syntactically, it's pretty similar, but it has a few differences in syntax. Also, it isn't enabled by default, so make sure you don't forget to start it. Another quirk is every time you put your rules in this ip.conf file, but every time you want to make a change to your rule and you put that in the file, you have to flush the firewall and then run like the like source command on it again, like every time. So that's kind of annoying, but it's doable. So I want to do like a quick little demo just on basic firewall setup here. So again, to I really want to make this bigger. There we go. So to enable our IP filter, we just go svcadm, enable IP filter. That'll get it started. As you can see, IP filter. Yeah, it's online. So like I said, it's disabled by default. So it's that's an important step to not forget. And then the rules will go in this config file, etc ipf.conf. Go to the end. And then, so like I said, the syntax is pretty similar to PF. So to do like our default block of traffic, we do block in, pretty self-explanatory there. And then we give it the interface by saying on and then the name of the interface. So I think like the default one is E1000G0 on Solaris. And then if we want to do like a block outbound rule as well, default, we just go like this, same kind of same thing. So let me pull up this, that's small. I'm gonna pull up a Kali box just to kind of show that the stuff works. Let me move this to root tour. Opening a terminal. And okay, so I'm just gonna do, oh shoot, hopefully well, that's unfortunate. I'm gonna have to, I was gonna make an SSH rule, but I'm gonna have to type that super long SSH command. But anyways, let's test ping first, I guess. So ping 192.168.1.5, I think, is the Solaris box. So it works right now, right? Because I haven't set the firewall rules to use like the file and stuff and flushed and all this stuff we have to do. So again, to do that, we'll do IPF tech capital F and then A for like all interfaces. So that'll flush it. And then we do IPF tech F and then we give it the path of the config file that has our rules in it. So we'll do that. And then this should no longer work. And it doesn't. Good. Okay, I'll at least write out the rule for SSH. So just open the same file, same firewall config file. So we'll just do a pass in. So one quirk this has is upon finding a matching rule, it doesn't just like stop. It'll keep going down. And it'll actually use the last rule it finds. So to kind of circumvent that, you can use this quick keyword, and then that'll tell it basically to not search further down for like another match after this, and it'll just use this rule upon finding the match. So we'll pass in quick on the E1000G0 interface from any to, let's put the IP here, 1.5. And then we do, to specify a port, you just do port equals and port number. You actually, I don't know if you don't have to or if there's no way to, but you don't really have to do like protocol like TCP or UDP with these rules for some reason. I don't know why. And we'll just add a keep state at the end to make it stateful there. Cool. So this is basically just allowing anyone to SSH into us. Same thing. We'll flush. Then we'll give the path. And then if I want to go through the ordeal of typing out that, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever. Let me grab my PowerPoint because I actually don't have the command memorized. Where's that SSH? It was on a slide. There we go. Okay, so equals plus. This is traditional life in a Solaris admin's day of work. SHA-1, TAC-C, 3DS, TAC-CBC. I need to tell it where to go. Root at 10, nope, 192.68.1.10. Hopefully that works. Connection refused. Oh, did my firewall not work? I must have. I think I closed the other console. Whoops. Just ignore me.
.5,
Tinkering around.
Isn't it .5?
Oh, you're right. Yep. Thanks for the tip. I was just trying to SSH myself. And there we go. There. Okay. We just SSH'd in. And then whoami won't actually work, but you got to run it every time you SSH. It's the rules. Okay, let's get back to the PowerPoint. So we just did firewall, IP filter. Pretty simple. Like I said, a lot like PF. Not too difficult to set up. Just flushing every time is kind of annoying. But other than that, it's pretty manageable. So monitoring is pretty straightforward. Solaris, most of the logs are the same, with the exception of like auth log, which doesn't have the dot between auth and log for some reason. I guess it just wanted to be different. The auth log file is also backgrounded by default, so you get a little message in your terminal whenever someone logs in. I wonder, sorry to keep jumping around here, but I should have gotten it when I SSH'd in there. I did not. I guess it's a lie. Well, it should happen. I should have gotten like a little pop-up telling me that someone logged in. Some other security features. Oops, I skipped over something too over here. No, I didn't. Okay. Other security features. there's a few security config things that are in some of the checklists on the DevSec Google Drive. The first one on this slide is the policy.conf, which essentially specifies the hashing algorithm that'll be used for password changes. The second one you see in /default/login will make sure a password is required for /dev console. So basically, actually, let me show off one more thing before I kind of wrap it up here. I want to show off the, I think I have the password change script here. I'll open it up. Password sh. So yeah, it's the same thing I just showed you guys earlier. So again, it's generating a hash for every user and basically writing into Etsy Shadow. In this case, I'm writing to like an Etsy Shadow.back, just in case, because I don't want to overwrite Etsy Shadow without making sure everything works. So I'm going to do sh password.sh, type a password, go with password to that. And we get our password changes. Then if I cat that file, I sent it to Etsy Shadow.back, I think it was. Then you can see what we did is, like I said, we built a bunch of hashes. So what I would do next is probably just go cp Etsy Shadow.back into Etsy Shadow. Or I'd probably move it so it's gone. But yeah, that's basically password change, except you actually have to type it out in the competition, which is a little annoying. So, in summary, Solaris is a heaping pile of hot garbage, and you should never use it. Just kidding. A lot of the annoying stuff in Solaris just comes from the fact that it's just a bit different. So once you get used to kind of and learn some of these quirks and differences, it's a lot more manageable to work with. I didn't talk a whole lot about like Solaris 11, mostly just Solaris 10, mostly because that's what we see in these competitions. They like to, like I said, they like to give us the old and unusable boxes. But a lot of the stuff that I talked about in Solaris 10, most of everything I talked about today should basically apply to Solaris 11 if you encounter it. It should actually be easier because it has like a package manager and stuff, and it has achieved arguably usable status. So that's all I got for tonight. So everyone take care and let me know if you have any questions.
Yes. What's your favorite like 10, 15 things about Solaris? Like, what's good about it?
10. So basically, I think in this presentation I basically covered my 10, 15 least favorites. So it was kind of a negative presentation. But my favorite things, man, there's not a whole lot good to say. I guess like the displaying the auth log thing by default's kind of cool. I think BSD does that too. But yeah, like yeah, there's not a lot. I didn't have a lot good to say.
Solaris for the rest of your life or death?
That's a tough one, but I think I'm gonna go death.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Woo, yay, haha, yay. Thanks for presenting.
Yeah. Anytime.
Anytime.